There's something I say on nearly every video, it seems like, and that is that I was or am a better person today than I was as a Christian. And I want to talk about that a little bit because I say it so often that I felt, that actually deserves a video. Like I should actually talk a little bit about that and kind of explain what I mean by that and what that looks like today for me. Having, formerly been, hi, Timmy Gibson, welcome to my channel, former fundamental evangelical Bible thumping, tongue talking, Holy Ghost rolling pastor. Did that for 30 years. If you watch my videos, you know the details of that. And then spent 48 years as an evangelical Christian. Gave my heart to Jesus when I was 7. And for 48 years, I believed all the stuff about God and Jesus and the rapture of the church and the end times and heaven and hell and streets of gold and a crown with jewels from all the people I was witnessing to. I was going to get me a mansion in heaven if I lived right. On and on. Noah's Ark. It's all true. It's all real. God created everything in 6 days and then rested on the 7th day. Adam and Eve were created by God 6,000 years ago. That's right. Dinosaurs aren't real. Evolution ain't real. That's all devil hokey pokey. That's what I believed. Now I've been set free from those lies, from those deceits, from that delusion, and the truth has been revealed to me. And now I believe in that. So, yeah, I say all the time, I'm a better person today than I ever was as a Christian. So I wanted to explain that a little bit because I'm just going to tell you right now, like I'm no angel, like I'm not some perfect person now. I never was, I just never was. And that's the interesting thing. So when I say I'm a better person today, what do I mean? What am I saying? I'm more honest. Okay. I'm more authentic. I'm genuine. I'm not hiding and lying and covering up. And you know what I mean? And I did another video that alluded to some of this stuff. But as an evangelical Christian, you have to appear as though you are pure as driven snow. I don't know how that's pure, but anyway, I only think good thoughts. Like you have to be something that you're not. And you have to act like you're something that you're not. So many times, and I know a lot of my pastor friends, we talked about this. When I was a pastor, I still have some pastor friends. Our relationship is definitely different now because I don't share in their myth. I don't believe in their imaginary friend. I don't have that imaginary friend anymore. So definitely our relationship has way changed. But when I was a Christian and was really close with other Christian pastors, they ain't none of them perfect either. Like none of us were perfect. None of us were little angels in our thoughts and in our lives and in the way we did things. Like we just weren't. Like, I mean, it's just like that's just the facts. Now I know that pastors, myself included, I would come across, my nose is itching. I think I might have a hair from my mustache going up in there. I'll have to be honest. This is the second time I've recorded this video because the first time I kept flubbing up in my words, and so too many times to edit. Like I don't edit. I don't know how to edit at this point yet, though I'm gonna learn. Yeah, I had too many things I kept messing up on, and so it finally got to the point where I was like, I've got to start over. It's too many mistakes. Ironically, on this video. So how am I better? Well, because of I think the main thing is just the honesty and honesty, integrity, character, mainly the authenticity. I don't have anything to hide. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't have that guilt and that shame. Like, I masturbated last night and I don't want anybody to know because you're not supposed to do that. or I had premarital sex and I don't want anybody to know. I cussed and I don't want anybody to know that I cussed. I want to tell you something. This might shock you. Now, not every Christian's the same, right? I can only tell you the brand of Christianity that I grew up in and how we were. But I can remember times that I would get in my car and I saw on my radio that I had on a devil channel, a devil channel that played that hip hop devil's music. And if I was going out with a girl who was a Christian, as soon as I got in my car, put it on the Christian station, put it on K-Love. I want to play K-Love. Make sure, I don't know if you know K-Love. If you know K-Love, anyway, it's a Christian network, I think. Man, my nose is still itching me. So yeah, and that's not honest. That's disingenuous, right? I'm trying to act like I was listening to Christian music, even though I wasn't. So that's just a tiny example of the lies and the way I would live in such a way that I was like living a lie. I was acting like, especially again, going back to when I was single. When I was single, masturbation was known as a sin. You can't masturbate, it's a sin. So I would never admit to sinning like that. I would never admit that I masturbated, right? I would act like I never masturbated, except to maybe my close friends who were like, "Oh, I masturbated last night." I'm like, "Yeah, me too." Like, you had to keep that. You couldn't admit to it unless you had a close friend who was also admitting to it. But otherwise, you had to. I know that's shocking, right? Because there is nothing at all wrong with masturbation. Matter of fact, you should do it. Okay, if you're single, you should do it. If you're married, you should do it. Everybody should do it. Let's all do it. Okay, so even when I was in college, this is going to shock you. And again, this will just show you how weird the evangelical church was that I was raised in. And I don't mean like the specific church, I just mean the belief system. The college I went to, if you were caught masturbating, you were reported to the dean of students, who would then call you into his office to reprimand you for masturbating, for touching your own frickin' body. That is nuts. Like, absolute, that's abuse. That's off the charts insane. That is crazy talk. That is nuts. Absolutely freaking crazy. And that's the Bible college, the first one I went to. I got kicked out, remember, for drinking a wine cooler. One of my good friends turned me in for drinking a wine cooler. He forgot to mention that he was having sexual relationships with his then girlfriend, but she became his wife real soon because she got pregnant. That's another story. Okay. So why do I say that all the time? I'm a better person today than I was as a Christian. That's why. I was living a lie. I couldn't be honest. I couldn't be vulnerable. I couldn't be authentic. I couldn't be genuine. And it twisted up everything. And when you're lying about one thing, you lie about everything. You know what I mean? Like, you just start living this lie. Yeah, I read the Bible every day. I actually don't, but I would say that. I pray every day, even though I actually don't, but I said that. Like everything, like I don't think lustful thoughts. I always think pure thoughts. Okay. You're caught up in, you can't be honest. You can't be honest. And this isn't just my story, okay? I mean, I'm telling you my story. I'm telling you, I had so many pastor friends in my life, okay? We pastors stuck real close together. And I've said this before, a lot of them, they're really good people. They mean well, they're sincere. Clearly, I think their beliefs are wackadoodle. They're sincerely wrong, but that's beside the point. In the sense of, are they good people? Yes. Many of them are really good fathers. They love their kids. They love their wives, all that stuff. But listen, these were friends of mine. Okay, so we talked. I know what they struggled with. I know what they is doing. I know what they did. I know the things that they, you know what I mean? Like, but I only knew that because I was a fellow pastor. And I said this, and I've talked about this a little bit, especially in that one long video I did about Christianity is immoral. And it's that, like, I know the things that they did, they struggled with, and they could never be honest. They couldn't tell their wives, they couldn't tell their kids, and they for sure can't tell the church that they pastor because they would get in trouble. They would be fired. So clearly, and they shouldn't. You know, I believe we all have. How can I say this? You know, we don't want everybody being able to read our every thought, right? I mean, you know what I mean? We're human. Things will pop into my mind. I'm like, what? Where was that? What was that about? Like that's just, I think, being human. The weird thoughts that we might have. But take that a step further, not just weird thoughts. You can't admit to weird thoughts, right? Because you had your mind renewed by Jesus. And so now you only think beautiful, loving, pure, angel-like thoughts all the time and never think anything evil ever. No, that is not at all what it's like. But especially, it just amped that up 100% as a Christian, as especially a conservative, fundamental, evangelical type Christian. They ain't telling people what they doing. They hiding. And I'm not going to name names, but there's so many of my Christian friends who teach against drinking alcohol, but when they go on vacation, they be drinking alcohol. You know what I mean? Like, I know some of them have gotten massages with a really happy ending at the end. They ain't telling nobody that. They ain't confessing that to nobody. They keeping that on the down low. Why? Because if anybody was to find out, they would. I mean, think about the sky. I talk about this in other videos. Think about the big scandals. You think old Ted Haggard of New Life Church in Colorado Springs was telling anybody that, yeah, I'm actually doing meth and getting a hand job from a male prostitute? No, he's teaching and preaching against homosexuality from the pulpit, and he's acting like he's this whatever to everybody else around him, even his close inner accountability partners and all his close people, his family. He ain't telling nobody. He ain't telling nobody. And here's what you know. Often what someone does, not often, always really, what someone does starts out as a thought way back over here, right? It's a thought. Having some of these weird thoughts, like, I wonder if there's a masseuse I could get a massage from while I'm doing meth. I wonder if, like, all those are thoughts, right? And I don't know what Google searches you have to do to find. Honestly, I wouldn't even know where to begin to find meth. I don't know where I'd begin to find. I don't know, but. But you search somehow. I don't know what the process is, but so that started out as something way back over here. Well, because you can't be honest, you can't tell anybody. You can't tell anybody you're wanting to do meth. Meth is a sin. It's a sin to do meth. Well, besides the fact that it's illegal, I mean, forget that for a minute. Like, you can't, right? I am as sure as the world, because I know how human nature is, because I'm a freaking human and I'm a dude. So I'm sure in the back of his mind, he was maybe seeing some pictures, and he was touching himself while thinking some certain things. And then he was thinking, I've heard that doing meth and that, right? And then I covered this in the video specifically, but in his particular story, because I saw the documentary, he said it started when he was about 7th grade. He had a same-sex thing going on. My dog is barking Be quiet, little girl. So, that was something that he could never, ever, ever be fully honest about. Okay. Now, in my situation, just personally, I could never be fully honest with how amped up I was sexually. You know what I mean? As soon as my hormones started kicking in, it's all I ever thought about. I mean, like most guys and even girls. Clearly, I mean, I'm heterosexual, so all my stuff was happening with girls. And I remember early on, I was interested. They was interested. So, you're trying to explore and trying to do different things. And then I'd feel guilt and shame, and I'd repent to God. Of course, I wouldn't tell anybody. I didn't want anybody to think I was a little sex pervert, right? Because that's how you feel. That's one of the most toxic teachings in the Christian church is I felt like I was a little perverted sex freak because I wanted sex so bad. Well, then I started realizing, every guy I know that's 15, that's all we're thinking about. Like, that's all we're thinking about. So, I wasn't some sex pervert. I was a normal 15-year-old boy who was wanting to experience some sexual stuff. So normal. Okay, so it's that kind of stuff that gets you to hide and lie and cover up and deceive. And you know what I mean? Like, I couldn't be honest. Couldn't be honest about masturbation. I couldn't be honest about seeing a porn magazine. I couldn't be honest about my first time I touched a girl and the girl touched me. And I couldn't be honest about the first time I had sex. And I couldn't be, I just couldn't be honest about any of that. So, then I go off into Bible college, and here I am in Bible college trying to live for the Lord. And yet I'm wanting to have sex with everybody, because I'm just like, I just want to have sex with all these women in Bible college. But that's a sin. That's the devil. That's the devil trying to get me to do that. So I couldn't be honest. And that just leads to more hiding and lying and hiding and lying and hiding. And it's just a perpetual thing. Anyway, all that being said, so why am I better today? Why do I say I'm a better person or a better human? I'm not saying I'm not walking on water. But what I am saying is that today I don't have to hide. I don't have to hide that I drank a glass of wine. I don't have to hide whatever. You know what I mean? Like, I don't have to hide things like that. And I don't have to hide about just life and being honest about things. You know what I'm saying? Does that make sense? Cuss and discuss down below. Leave your comments. Express how that Christian teaching caused you to, lie and hide and cover up. If it did, I'm very, very curious, because it affected me in such a deep, serious way that I had to go to counseling for quite a long time to really work through all of that stuff that was a result of the particular Christianity that I was in, how it caused me to lie and hide and cover up. And I was so dishonest because I couldn't be honest, because I didn't want to be viewed as a sinner. I was a pastor. I was a saint. All right, guys. Peace, everybody.